You're listening to Brainbusta Radio.
Hey, yo, Josh, let me get a little bit of reverb. Yeah. J. Will. Yeah, I'm about that lifestyle. I talk green work, repping it all over. It's right on the t-shirt. Fan for a lifetime. Yeah, that's a long pass. Figure I would show some love right on the podcast. Turn this up loud and make sure you don't do nothing else. Cause if you're listening to us, then you're improving your health. My name is J. Will. Welcome to the show, yeah. Wrestle, flow, yeah.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Wrestling Reverb here on Brainbusta Radio. It is Friday. I am Josh. Kevin, what's cracking, my good dude?
Oh man, nothing much. Got the day off of work, and there's no way I'd rather spend it than here with you, Josh, on another fantastic episode of Reverb. Can't wait to break down all the happenings in wrestling.
Oh yeah, last week it was kind of it was like our SummerSlam kind of deal. We talked about SummerSlam and everything that happened in the week going on with WWE programming. Just Toronto kind of took over WWE last week, and we enjoyed every minute of it. And it was kind of like watching this week of television and everything else that we'll get to in a minute. It was like, keep the momentum going. I think we've got a good little steady thing going here, you know, through this part of the year. It's like, I feel like this part of the year, or just the year in general, is broken down into little segments. It's like the time before Mania and the lead up to Mania, and then that weird in-between time between Mania and SummerSlam, and then SummerSlam to Survivor Series, and then we're back on the road to Mania again. So I guess we're in like the little other section of the year, whether they can keep up momentum or not. It's always, I think it's the same deal every year, am I right?
Yeah, basically, this is a tough part of the year for them because you have people that tune in for SummerSlam specifically, and then they're sort of weighing out until Survivor Series, and Survivor Series isn't the, bonanza that SummerSlam is or WrestleMania is, so it's a little bit harder to get people to tune in this part of the year.
Yeah, definitely. It is very much broken down into segments. Has it always been that way, or are we just analyzing it more now? Because I don't feel like I ever really... Maybe I did. I don't know. Did you ever kind of consider that years ago when you were watching wrestling and being like, it's broken down into these little bits?
No, it's definitely just the way we consume wrestling right now, is that we're almost over-analyzing it to the point where we look at it in segments as opposed to just the year. I mean, there's no breaks. Really, there are no segments because there are no breaks.
Yeah, true. That is true. There isn't any breaks in a WWE calendar, in a wrestling calendar in general. There is no breaks. It's go, go, go all year round. That's just the wrestling way. I guess it's just the formula we're used to. Obviously, AEW is coming up in October, which is only, a month and a bit away before we get the ball rolling on all of this new stuff that's going down. But, I mean, it just seems to be the formula that works. An episode every week or multiple episodes every single week, and I mean, pay-per-views are a little bit different now, and specials and stuff like that. They're a little bit more broken down, and you can have a less is more approach in some aspects. But television-wise, it seems to be you have to have 52 weeks a year is a new episode of television every week when it comes to wrestling. There isn't really another formula that seems to work. Do you think an off-season would work in pro wrestling in general? Maybe not just WWE, but pro wrestling in general? Is an off-season forcible? I don't know.
I don't know. I personally would be against it just because I am selfish and want wrestling on my TV every damn week.
Yeah. I agree.
But
I want wrestling every week as well. I'm the same as you.
Yeah. I could see the benefits of it, but I could also see the drawbacks. I think you'd lose fans with an off-season because you never know if they're going to come back.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's very easy. It's like watching any television show when the season ends, and you kind of not forget about it. You know that it's coming back, but you're kind of like, oh, okay, I've got to get myself back in the zone of watching this show, like whatever it may be, or whatever you're kind of going with. It's hard to gain that interest. I mean, once you're back, but I don't know. I don't think an off-season is something that we have to ever really consider, at least in the foreseeable future. I don't think that's ever going to be a thing that we're going to have to really deal with. I mean, this week has been a very newsworthy, noteworthy week. We're coming off a couple of days now, or it's literally been 24 hours now since we're recording this on a Wednesday night, my time, Wednesday morning in the States. But, I mean, we're coming off a big announcement, and the rumors are now seemingly confirmed that NXT is moving to USA Network 2 hours every single Wednesday night beginning on September 18th. It's going to be live. It's still going to emanate from Full Sail. We're going to break everything down, but I mean, the whole world of wrestling seems to have a 50-50 kind of divide on whether this is good or whether this is bad, what it means for AEW, what it means for the way we consume Wednesday nights or wherever you are in the world, whatever time it airs. But I mean, it's a big deal. Like NXT, I should say, moving to USA is a big deal. It's expanding. It is going to change in some aspects. Obviously, it's going to be a longer television show. First and foremost, Kevin, I know that you're similar to me in the fact that I tune in for every takeover and I catch NXT TV of what I need to see. If there's something I have to watch, I watch it, but I'm not watching it every single week. This is going to probably make me watch it every single week. A live television show is something you really can't miss.
Yeah, I think it makes it can't miss. I think that for me personally, I don't watch NXT TV every week because it's something I could just go back and watch again. I can go back and watch whenever I want.
Yeah.
Now, that all changes. Now you have to catch, if you want to know what's going on in NXT, you have to catch it live. The same way if you want to know what's happening on Raw and SmackDown, you basically have to catch it live. So, I think that this is a good... I think I'm on the positive side of the train here when it comes to NXT moving to USA. I think it's good for everybody. I think it's going to make for a better show because, A, you're going to get more people on the show. 2 hours is fine. I liked an hour, but I think 2 hours they can go because there's still so many talented individuals that don't make it onto NXT TV every week.
Yeah.
Think about it. Like guys like Keith Lee don't make it on every week. Guys like Kushida. These are talented individuals that with an extra hour will get their own storylines, will get their own attention, and have a chance to grow and shine the way that guys like Riddle and Cole and Gargano do.
Yeah, I agree. It is 2 hour wrestling show is like the perfect time in my mind. 2 hours is like enough without being too much. Anything more than 2 hours and it's a little overkill. Anything under and you're just rushing. In my opinion, anyway. It's just the way I like to watch wrestling. But I'm on the positive side of things. I'm cautiously optimistic because there's a few things in there that I'm like... I think the only thing that I'm a bit like, ooh, with it is that I don't want the core of NXT to change. But I don't think it's going to... The fact that it's still emanating from Full Sail every week is what makes me think, okay, it is literally staying the same program, it's just expanding to 2 hours, and it's going to be on, instead of being on the network, well, it's still going to be on the network, which we'll talk about in a minute, but it's going to be live every week instead of the taped aspect, and not exclusive to the network anymore. So, I'm with you. I'm definitely on the positive side of things. It makes things very interesting going into October. But September 18th is the date. They're getting a little bit of a head start over AEW, which is very smart. It is. It's to get yourself established, you know, on the channel and on everything like that. Now, for me, it's a little bit different because I don't know if I'm going to be able to view it live on the network that I normally view wrestling. I don't know if that's going to be a thing. And of course, there's ways to watch it. But, I mean, in the terms of watching it on my television screen, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch it. It's already been confirmed that AEW is not going to be in Australia on Australian TV, so I'm going to have to find a way to watch that. But, so I don't know if NXT is going to be... Is it included in the WWE Australian deal? Who knows? That's never been a thing with wrestling in my mind that they ever answer first is the international stuff. They worry about stateside and then they worry about their international deals a little later. But regardless, it is going to be fun and I'm still going to be able to watch it in some way, shape or form. But it's going to be on the network 24 hours after, which is good because if you miss it on when it airs live, you can go back and watch it on the network 24 hours later, which is a good thing. I think that's good. That's what they should do with Raw and SmackDown, in my opinion. But hey, that's just there's TV deals and stuff, which, I mean, we have no idea what goes into that kind of stuff, so I don't know the logistics of it. But NXT is going to air on the network, so its home is still somewhat on the network, which is good, because I think NXT is a big driving point for the network. You got to think, if you're a network executive, trying to get NXT onto your television network, you got to think that plays into the mind of Vince McMahon and Triple H and all the executives that work for WWE, WWE Incorporated, the company. From the business side of things, you got to think, this is a thing that gets us money for our network, and I think their network is it's maybe not their core focus is maybe not the WWE network, but it's certainly a big part of their money making and eyes on the brand and everything like that. So you got to think that getting on the network and staying on the network exclusively was a big reason why the network has been a success.
Yeah, absolutely. The network pays the bills, man. It really does. I mean, I know that before the network, I didn't pay for shit for WWE.
Me either.
I'll be honest. I never bought I rarely bought pay-per-views. Bought WrestleMania, but now they've convinced me to shell out $10 every month because there's so much.
$10 is nothing, really. It's chump change.
I know. Just compare, and especially when you measure that up against all the shit you get, all the content.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But NXT is definitely a huge part of that, because it's like, wow, it's original programming, it's wrestling, and it's something I can watch on my computer at my own convenience, at my own whim. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think NXT on the network is good, because it's people are used to it, and that doesn't necessarily have to change, but they are going to be a day behind if they so choose to just watch it on the network. So it makes the live show seem still important. I can understand the argument, like, oh, well, if you upload the episode a day later, who's going to watch it live? You don't want to, especially with the time that we're going to be having in wrestling come October, you are not going to want to be a day behind, trust me.
Oh, no, I agree. I'm going to definitely be watching it in some way whenever I can, because there's no way I'm missing that come October. Now, one thing I want to touch on before we talk about AEW and what that means for NXT and AEW going forward is the fact that, I mean, I don't know, I'm obviously not American. USA Network, is that a part of basic cable? I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what you mean by basic cable, but like it's in your basic cable package. It's not one of like it's not like a network channel where you get it automatically. It's not one of the basic. It's not like one of the basic channels. But if you have basic cable, you have the USA Network.
Okay, so it's the same as if. So our channel is called Fox 8. That's what we get all our WWE programming on. And if you have, we call it cable. If you have cable and you just pay for the basic package of cable, you get WWE programming on Fox 8. So I guess in USA is similar. If anyone, is listening from Australia, you know what I'm talking about. If you're listening from the States, you know what Kevin's talking about. But so USA, what I'm trying to get at is that USA is pretty much available to anybody that has cable in the United States, correct?
Yeah, USA is in most every house. Every household that has cable, USA is in there.
Okay, what about TNT? That's where AEW is going.
TNT, same thing. Same distribution, same amount of televisions.
Right, okay, so they're both... They're rival networks, is what they're rival networks. They're having rival wrestling promotions, I guess, to a certain degree, whatever you want to call this. Now, going into... Well, obviously, we're going to get the ball rolling with NXT come September. I mean, we're going to get, a few weeks of television before we get the quote-unquote Wednesday Night Wars, whatever you want to call them. So we're going to get to get the feel of what NXT is going to be like in a slightly expanded format on a channel live and all that kind of stuff. Now, come October, Kevin, this is what I want to really break down with you, is that how is your Wednesday nights going to look watching NXT, watching AEW? You're going to be watching them separately? Are you going to watch them at the same time? You're going to have one hooked up to your computer, maybe one hooked up to your TV? How's it going to look for you?
What I'll probably do is, oh man, I haven't even thought this far ahead yet. There's just, on one hand, it makes sense to watch AEW live and NXT the next day, because I don't know if there's going to be a place for me to watch AEW if I don't watch it live, whereas I know that there's something to fall back on with NXT. But like I said before, I don't really want to be behind with NXT, because I have a feel they're going to have to do stuff that's going to be can't miss. So you don't really want to miss anything. But I don't want to channel flip, because then you are missing stuff from both programs. God damn it.
See, I think I'll try and watch them at the same time, depending on where I can watch these things. And wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I don't know, because I don't want to be that person that's watching AEW and then something happens on NXT and I'm like, oh, fuck, I didn't see that, and now I've got spoilers on Twitter, because obviously I'm going to be on Twitter talking about AEW, so therefore in my feed is going to be stuff about NXT or vice versa. So I feel like I almost have to watch them at the same time. But that's the kind of... in a way, I know it's a little different... I don't know if it's going to be different. They say they don't want a war. They say they do want a war. They say they're not competition. They are competition. Blah, 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 blah. I'm pretty sure at this point they're airing at the same time, so there has to be at least somewhat of... There's some competitiveness, even in the back of AEW's mind, WWE's mind. There has to be some kind of competitiveness. There has to be. Even if they're not...
Yeah.
Because go on.
Two television programs that air at the same time, whether they want to call it competition or not, they are competing for ratings. There's a competition. Maybe the wrestling side of things, you want to say, oh, we're all doing our own thing and everything's cool and all and yada yada yada. But these two shows are competing for ratings, and ratings may not be what they once were, but they're still highly important to a television program. The execs are going to look at ratings and to determine, especially for two new shows.
Yeah. They are. They're unproven. They are unproven. Well, NXT has a little bit of a backing, because you could... I mean, not directly, maybe, because you can't really say these are the amount of subscribers that are watching NXT. I know there's ways to break it down, but it's very different, because I'm not buying the network just for NXT. NXT is a great part of the network, but I'm buying the network for everything else that's on the network as well as NXT. With AEW, there really isn't any proven ground other than their 3 shows they've had, 4 when we go into TV. They really haven't had too much, there isn't really too much of a track record to say, hey, they're going to draw great ratings. I'm not sure how it's going to go. Ratings are different than they were in the 90s. I mean, we're not going to get numbers like we were for Monday Night Raw and Monday Nitro, but I mean, there's got to be some kind of... It is exciting for both of us, Kev, you can relate to this. We weren't watching wrestling in the late 90s when... the Monday Night Wars were happening. We didn't know what it was like to experience this. We have this in the day of the internet. It's very easy to access everything at once. So it is very weird to be going, well, for me, a Thursday morning will be, I'm watching 2 hours of 2 different wrestling promotions on at the same time, and you're going to overanalyze it like we always do and be like, oh, this is because this is happening, or this is happening because this is happening. For someone that wasn't watching wrestling in 1997 and 1998 when it was booming, this is really freaking exciting to watch.
Yeah, dude, I cannot freaking wait. Like, this is our wars. This is the Wednesday Night Wars. Whether AEW wants to say it, whether WWE wants to say it, I want there to be a war. I want there to be shots fired back and forth, and I want these people to talk shit on one another, and I want these guys to jockey it out to see who's the best. That's going to make for the best possible programming.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you completely, and it's not... it's not to pick sides. I don't want to be like, I'm a WWE guy or I'm an AEW guy. I just want it to be like fun. It's fun to watch that stuff for me because I'm a fan of wrestling and I'm a fan of both. I want everything to succeed. If that means taking shots at one another, if that means Wednesday Night Wars, then so be it. It's fun to watch. It's entertaining. At the end of the day, wrestling is entertainment, and I want to be entertained, and this is the best way to do it because there's so much reality in it. The best wrestling storylines are always reality-based, and there really isn't a better wrestling storyline than WCW versus WWE. In 2019, it could become WWE versus AEW. It's just a thing that could happen.
It has to happen. For wrestling, I think it has to happen because you talk about the numbers that the WWF and WCW did in the late 90s. We're never going to reach those again. Those numbers are dead. We shouldn't be striving to hit those numbers. But we should be striving to do some numbers, and that's how you do numbers is with the war, with the competition. People are going to tune in just to see, like, you're going to catch casual wrestling fans who don't watch Raw every week. You're going to catch them tuning in to either NXT or AEW just because they want to be part of it all.
Yeah, I completely 100% agree. Wednesday nights or whatever, wherever you are in the world, Thursday mornings for me, is going to be the cool night of wrestling. It just is because so many people they are obviously people that are anti-WWE. They're going to be like, fuck yeah, AEW. I'm going to watch AEW on TNT over here, and I'm going to enjoy this, and this is the cool wrestling, blah, 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 blah. There are people that are anti-AEW, and they're going to watch NXT in spite of AEW. There is that. And then there's people like us who just are a fan of both and want to sit in the middle and be like, I want to watch both because they're both great. They're both equally as fun for many different reasons. I just want to watch wrestling. So there's going to be so many different people watching. There's going to be more eyes on their product than you can really say in a few years, at least, at one time, because it's going to be cool to watch it again, I feel, anyway. And, you know, drifting away from the kind of not maybe from the competition stuff, but in the sense of, like, rating and drifting away from that kind of stuff, you know, there's a lot of talk about the fact that, you know, NXT's not a developmental brand anymore. It just isn't. It hasn't been in quite some time. It is the third brand of WWE. It's a touring brand. It makes money. It generates revenue, and so on and so forth. But with this going down now, with them versus AEW coming up in October at the same time, at least, on television, NXT, to me, seems like the perfect foil for AEW, because NXT, out of all of the WWE stuff, in at least on the internet, is the cool wrestling show. I don't necessarily agree. I think that WWE has its cool features in everything, but it's the cool wrestling show out of everything. It's a very hot brand, and going up against a very hot brand in AEW. So I feel like it's the perfect catalyst to go. If you're going to put anything up against AEW on Wednesday nights, I don't think Raw or SmackDown is necessarily the best for it. I do actually think it is NXT.
I agree. I think that I think you really nailed it with NXT being the cool show. It's the wrestling base. All your favorite indie wrestlers are there now. It's like it. You know, even anti-WWE people, and there are scores of them, will be like, well, NXT's good. People tune in to TakeOver. It's like, oh, TakeOver was good. WWE sucks, but TakeOver was good. Those people are going to tune in. They're going to tune in to AEW probably first and foremost, but they are going to tune in to NXT as well.
Yeah, I agree. Because there's always going to be people that are like, fuck WWE, I hate WWE. But there's not a lot of, well, there isn't as many people saying fuck NXT. I mean, we talk to so many people on the internet that maybe don't necessarily watch WWE, but they watch NXT because NXT is, it's more pure wrestling than anything WWE is putting on. Whether that's not a knock on WWE either. Everyone knows how I view WWE. I love WWE and I love Raw and SmackDown. I kind of take things at face value. Very similar to you, Kevin. You're probably not exactly the same as me the way we watch wrestling, but you love Raw and SmackDown as well. You're not an anti-Raw person or an anti-SmackDown person. You very much look for the best of the product all the time. We both enjoy NXT. Don't get us wrong. I'm not going to speak for Kev, but I love NXT. I love takeovers are like my favorite things, and NXT TV is something that I know that I'm not watching all the time. I mean, that's going to change in a few weeks' time, but I'm not watching it all the time. But I'm definitely keeping tabs on it, and I'm definitely watching what kind of everyone is talking about and going, I need to watch this segment, or I'm catching people that I like, or whatever it may be. So I wouldn't say, like, I guess you could say I'm a casual NXT TV viewer. I guess you could probably put me in that bubble, but takeovers I never miss. Now, when it comes to going back to like the cool aspect of NXT, it is the most wrestling out of the WWE program. We may be on par wrestling with 205 Live, but that's very different. NXT's hot, NXT's cool, NXT's hip. NXT is very modern, I think. I think it's very with the times. They kind of keep up with everything. And I think AEW are going to very much try to be hip. They're going to try and target their show, I think, to maybe a teenager or an early, someone our age, basically, or a little bit younger than us. I think that's going to be their core demographic. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. I think that they're going to go after the teenagers, the adults. I think they're going to go after the sports fans more so than the entertainment consumers, which I still think is kind of weird. Because wrestling is entertainment more than sport, I think. And I don't necessarily know what aspects of wrestling you could tweak to make it more sport-based. I guess like the wins and losses thing is big for them, according to what I've heard. And I get that. And wins and losses should matter in really anything that has wins and losses. But other than that, I mean, you're a wrestling show. Like, you're going to have your athleticism, but it's entertainment. Like, you can't go away from the entertainment aspect to make it purely sport.
No, I agree. Wrestling is entertainment. Wrestling is entertainment, whether, people want to say... I mean, it's sports and entertainment. It really is sports entertainment. I know some people say that as a negative term. I don't. That's exactly what wrestling is to me, is it's sports and entertainment. Yeah. Sports entertainment. So... Now we talk about like the AEW going after maybe more of that demographic of fan. Maybe I wouldn't say they're more the male demographic, but maybe in some people's mind, maybe that just comes hand in hand. I don't know. But why AEW is going after that? Does NXT have the same demographic? What does NXT? What would you consider NXT's demographic? Is it the same as AEW's demographic?
I think maybe it wasn't intended to be at first, but I think it is the same demographic. I think that's what NXT reaches. The wrestling fans that are, I think they're the teenagers, the males, the wrestling purists that aren't kids, because kids aren't wrestling purists really. Unless
we were kids, we weren't wrestling purists when we were kids. We just like wrestling. Now we've grown up into wrestling purists, I guess.
Like if you're a 7-year-old kid and you're talking about work rate and indie shit, like go outside.
True, honestly, true. I mean, I don't know. It's wrestling. It definitely used to be that 18 to 34 male demographic based thing, especially when we were growing up watching wrestling. That's what the demographic is. It's very much shifted. It's males and females, which is fantastic. It's you want as many eyes as you can on the product, no matter what. The demographic is, well, at least in WWE's mind, they want kids all the way up until, their grandparents watching wrestling. They want to cover the whole entire family, the whole entire demographic, but sometimes things get lost and you can't cater to every demographic with everything you do. You can have bits and pieces that kind of shift us away into different demographics and have things targeted towards different people and different age groups and whatever. But it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you get a very scattered product, and I think that's what draw people away from WWE's product. Not NXT, I mean, as in Raw and SmackDown, is that maybe that's how I see it anyway. It doesn't scatter me away, but I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, and I'm trying to get in the mindset of someone else. I think that's something that I can kind of... I think that's why I enjoy wrestling as much as I do. I don't really... people always kind of get me like, do you hate anything about wrestling? Of course, there's many things I hate with anything. There's many things I don't like about wrestling. Don't get me wrong, but I can just kind of extract why they're doing something or why this is happening or why this is happening. I think that's why I still enjoy wrestling as much as I do, because if I didn't watch it like that, I honestly don't think I'd be watching wrestling anymore, because I'd just hate it all the time, because I'd be overanalyzing everything. I just take things at face value. So back to my point is that I think AEW and NXT's demographic is very similar. They're catering to the pure wrestling fans that maybe don't get that from WWE's products. So WWE go, hey, we understand that we're catering to way more eyes than just a wrestling fan, and you're a very small minority of what WWE has become, but NXT is perfect for you because you can have everything that you used to love about wrestling is 100% in this product. So I think that's what WWE's mindset is, going with NXT versus AEW, as opposed to having something else. Not that that was ever going to be a thing. I'm just trying to, say it for the sake of saying it, is that if you're going to put Raw against AEW, I don't necessarily think their demographics mix up, and I don't necessarily think we'd be talking about as much as of War as we were if NXT's in that spot, because NXT and AEW are very similar products. They're very wrestling based, with a few different bits and pieces. Of course, like you said, Kev, AEW is a little bit more sports centric, but I'm not necessarily that hot on, to be completely honest. I like my entertainment stuff. However, it is very similar. I think they're going to be very similar products in the way they're established. Maybe not presented. I mean, WWE and AEW's production is different, so they're going to look different. And not only that, it's going to look very different for someone flicking through a channel and seeing two wrestling shows, and one's in an arena and one's a Full Sail. Is that going to be an issue?
No, I don't think so.
You don't?
I really don't.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Full Sail is fantastic, and I love the atmosphere. That's what makes NXT NXT. However, if I'm not a wrestling fan and I'm just flipping through, which one am I going to stay on? The one that has 500 people in a smaller arena, or the one that has 8 to 9,000 people in a big arena that's touring? I don't know. It's flashier. Therefore, wouldn't I click on AEW? But I'm just trying to get in. I'm just trying to get in another mindset here.
Well, maybe you're more drawn in by the intimacy of Full Sail. I could see your mindset going either way on that. You might be attracted to the big crowd, the big lights, the flashing lights, or you might be attracted to the passion of Full Sail that you cannot replicate.
That's true.
In a full scale arena, Full Sail, funny. You can't replicate that.
That's true. No, I get that. I think, hey, that goes back to very different, but ECW was that cult-like mentality, and it was very small. It was very like, you get the nearly entire crowd on one shot of one hard cam of the camera. So, and that's what people, not only, but that's what drew a lot of people into ECW, was that feel. It's a little more intimate, and it's a little bit more like, hey, this is ours, instead of being one of 10,000 people going, I'm just a number at this point. So I completely get that point as well. Now, for someone that, I don't know if this is going to be a thing. Do you think we're going to, come October when AEW starts and when SmackDown moves to Fox, because you can't really forget the fact that week SmackDown moves to Fox on Friday nights. And then you got essentially every other day is wrestling. So, do you think this is going to gain new fans, or are we just producing more content for the same amount of people?
No, I think this is going to draw new fans. I think people are going to get sucked into the world of wrestling based on the competition. I think they're going to get sucked in based on, wanting to be a part. I think wrestling is growing right now anyway, even without the supposed Wednesday Night Wars, even without SmackDown moving to Fox, which will draw new fans too because it's moving to a network that everybody has. you gotta look at it like this. Wrestling is becoming cool again. I think I mean, for me, wrestling was always cool, but I think that there are people out there that are going to see like, well, hey, maybe we got to tune in, to this wrestling stuff, because you have this new companies launching. They're cool, they're hip, they're sports based. That's where I understand why they're saying it. They might not necessarily mean it, but saying we're going to be a sports oriented wrestling show is going to draw sports fans.
Oh yeah.
So I think they're going to create new fans this way.
No, I hope so. I really do hope so, because I want wrestling to be really cool again, because I want to be that person that's like, everyone's like, yep, okay, cool. I mean, I live in a small town. There's a handful of people that I know that watch wrestling as much as I do. There's not really many people that I can pretty confidently say I'm probably the biggest wrestling fan out of these 9,500 people that live in this town. It's not a very big town that I live in. So, I mean, I want wrestling to be that, where you go to work or you go out or whatever and you're talking to people, and the way that people talk about UFC is that UFC is, I'm going to watch this fight. You're having people over to watch this fight. You're having a big party, and, everyone's talking about this person and this person and this person. That doesn't necessarily happen as much with wrestling. I'm not saying it doesn't happen at all, because it certainly does. But it seems to be there was, at least coming out of, the time span that we watch wrestling and coming into like the later 2000s and that, it wasn't like I was going around school at that point and being like, yeah, I watch wrestling. It was, oh, you watch wrestling? Oh, I watch wrestling. We can be friends. It wasn't like an open thing of like, I watch wrestling, because you'd be like, oh my God, you watch wrestling. That's terrible. That's so stupid. I don't think there's really that stigma against it anymore. At least in my mind, I can talk to pretty much anyone and anyone. I don't feel embarrassed to talk about wrestling. For the last few years, I've been like that, at least, to be like, yeah, I watch wrestling. I love it. Here's why I love it. And people are like, cool, yeah, no worries. There isn't really any like, ooh, you watch wrestling. Of course there's still going to be people. That's just going to be a thing with wrestling all the time, is that there's always going to be like, ugh. The best way I can like compete with that answer, because I always have an answer ready. If I'm at work or I'm somewhere and someone's like, yeah, you watch pro wrestling, I'll be like, what's your favorite movie? And they'll be like, I don't know, Spider-Man. That's very topical at the moment. Spider-Man. I'll be like, hey, did you know that's not real? He's acting. And they go, oh, what? And I go, same thing with me. I'm just watching someone play a role. And then they're like, gosh, oh shit, oh fucking, isn't, I mean,
got him.
Cool. Spring of Spider-Man. I did say it's very topical. What's your little piece on that? It's not a part of the Marvel universe anymore. I've never actually watched a Marvel movie other than like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans back in the day. I don't even know if that was a Marvel movie technically. Was it? I don't know.
I mean, it was. It's not. It wasn't part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I honestly don't care. I mean, I don't watch Marvel movies either.
Amazing. That's the best response you could have ever gotten from someone. I love that response. I don't even know what's going to happen.
I don't care.
By the time this airs on Friday, it'll be fucking somewhere else anyway, and someone will be like, I got Spider-Man now, and Tom Holland's going to be in this version of Spider-Man, and I'll be like, okay, cool, because everyone was going on about it on Twitter. That was like the thing on the internet this morning of like, oh my God, Spider-Man's no longer a part of the Marvel universe. I was like, all right, I'll just give this tweet a little heart, because I just want it to pop up in someone's feed and be like, oh, Josh is cool, he's watching Spider-Man. Never fucking watched, except for of course, I've watched the Tobey Maguire ones. I mean, back. See,
I don't give out Twitter favorites like that. Oh, I don't care.
I do. I don't give a fuck. I do. Give me all the views.
I'm very selective with my favorites.
Oh, I'm just like.
You know why? Is because you can see what people like. Yeah. And I don't like. I'm really careful with what I like, because I don't want someone to go into my likes and see that I like some like bullshit or something from like poems porn or something, because I sniped one of my friends doing that once, and I don't want that same thing to happen to me.
I mean, I'm not that bad. I'm not like going around being like that kind of stuff, but I'm just like, yeah, I see that. I reacted to it. That's my reaction to it. I feel like a like on Twitter is not necessarily something you like. It's something you're reacting to. Maybe that's the whole debacle of
But
like
it's
when
called
Facebook... No, but when Facebook... You know when Facebook had likes and everyone wanted a dislike button and then they come in with those reactions and you could like ha-ha react now and love heart react and whatever you can do on Facebook. If anyone listening is still on Facebook. I mean, I don't use Facebook as much as I used to. I mean, Facebook is a dying brand. Let's not even go there. But, you know, when they brought that out and you could finally like basically sad react and angry react... I feel like to a certain degree I'm almost doing that on Twitter. When I'm going through and liking something, I'm just like, I'm reacting to that, whether I agree or not. I'm not saying I like something that's complete BS. Don't get me wrong. I'm not liking something that's like, you know, a troll telling someone to go die or something like that. Don't get me wrong. No. But it's like it's something like Spider-Man. I'm like, okay, I see you, I react to you, I know what's going on. That's how I see likes on Twitter. I mean...
Yeah, the way I look at it is a like because you like something, so you like it with a little heart. And I don't give a fuck about Spider-Man, so I'm not going to like tweets about Spider-Man. No offense to Spider-Man. No offense to Tommy Holland or Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield. And I shouldn't say I don't give a fuck about Spider-Man because I love the old Spider-Man movies growing up. I just don't care about Marvel versus Sony versus, you know, Tom Holland versus the Avengers and all that
Avengers. I have known nothing about Avengers. Someone could tell me a spoiler and I wouldn't even know it's a spoiler because I wouldn't know what you're talking about. I
looked up all the spoilers like the moment the movie dropped.
Oh well, are you a spoiler guy? In general, I'm not a spoiler guy. Go on.
If I don't like something, if I don't like something, like I'm not like a Marvel guy. I'm not like a huge MCU fan. I'll look up spoilers just so I can know what people are talking about because people don't shut the fuck up about it.
Yeah, I mean that's not the worst mentality, to be honest. I like that approach. Much respect. Anyway, I
won't spoil myself for things that I like. Actually, I guess I do because I read the NXT spoilers, which I won't be able to do anymore.
No, that's gonna be like a weird thing not to do anymore. You'd go like the Wednesday after a takeover would be time to tape NXT, and you get to read 4 weeks of television. That's no longer a thing. We have to watch it live, which it sounds so negative coming out like that, but I don't mean it in a negative way. It's a good thing. Live TV,
yeah.
Live TV is the best.
We have to watch live TV now.
I know, aren't we just first world problems? Now we have to watch it.
Worst.
You know what? The only thing that if I could take away, hey, if someone want to hear me be negative, here's the only thing, is that now in my schedule, this is how my schedule will work now. So a Tuesday morning, I'll watch Raw. A Thursday morning, I'll watch AEW and NXT. And a Saturday morning, I'm going to have to watch SmackDown. That's 3 days out of my week where I'm watching wrestling. And it's basically every other day that I'm watching wrestling. Not taking into the fact that Monday mornings are WWE pay-per-views. Sunday mornings are takeovers or AEW shows. That's a lot of wrestling in a week that we're committing to, because I ain't cutting out Raw or SmackDown. I'm essentially adding in more now because now I must watch NXT, and now I'm adding AEW. There's a lot of programming going on in a week. So if there's any kind of negative aspect of it, is that there is a lot of wrestling to watch in a week, and I've got to cut out now a little bit more of my day to watch wrestling, which isn't a complaint at the end of the day because I like wrestling and it's just more wrestling and it's something different. I mean, my Thursday morning is going to be different now. It's a different form of wrestling that I'm watching on Raw and SmackDown. I mean, out of everything we just talked about for the last 45 minutes, we talked about like gaining fans and that. Do you think we get more fans watching, or more new fans coming in to watch Wednesday night television, or is more fans going to watch SmackDown on Fox?
I think more fans are going to watch SmackDown on Fox simply because it's available in more households.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I don't know exactly how it works for me. I'm assuming the international television deals carry over if SmackDown was to move to a different day and it goes live on a different day. I guess it would stay the same. At the end of the day, nothing's been announced for international deals, so you really don't know. WWE aren't, like I said before, WWE aren't really... They never announce that at the same time. They're always like, okay, it's airing at this time in the States, and you're like, okay. I'm assuming I'm going to get SmackDown live on Saturday mornings, which is let's call a spade here. Saturday mornings are fucking terrible to watch wrestling. I don't want to watch wrestling on a Saturday morning. I will when I can. I work a lot on a Saturday morning. It's the weekend. I work retail. I'm going to be working, but when I can, I'm going to obviously watch SmackDown live every single Saturday morning. I mean, Friday nights are another... I know Friday nights probably aren't the best time to watch wrestling either, Kev, for you. But, I mean, I would rather watch wrestling on a Friday night than a Saturday morning.
Well, here's the thing. With SmackDown moving to Friday nights, it's a blessing and a curse. For one, I have Fridays off of work, and I work late. I work 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., thus is the life of a journalist. I have Fridays off. So with SmackDown moving from Tuesday to Friday, I'll actually be able to watch it. Maybe not during football season because I'll be probably working Fridays through November. But after that, I'll be good to watch SmackDown. In the meantime, I'm not able to watch Raw and SmackDown because I work.
Yeah.
I have to watch them. I have to watch the clips on YouTube. Basically, I'll still get the gist of every show, and I read the reviews and stuff. But it's not the same as missing it live. So I like SmackDown moving to Fridays because I'll be able to watch it. But it also sort of hinders my social life because you go out on Friday nights, you have a good time with your friends. But I am absolutely 100% committing to SmackDown, though. I'm not going to, miss it to go out. I'm going to watch SmackDown and go out after.
Yeah, for me, it's the opposite, because I could watch SmackDown every week, because I don't genuinely work Wednesday. In the weeks, I work, later in the afternoon, so I can watch it, because it airs in the morning for me. I can just watch it in the morning and then go to work in the afternoon. But on the weekends, it's the opposite. I work in the mornings and have the nights free. So really, for me, it goes to this thing of I'll genuinely never be able to watch SmackDown live anymore. It just will not be a thing that I'll be able to do, which sucks. But at the same time, it is what it is. It'll just be... Now I'll just spend my Saturday nights when I get home from work watching SmackDown on a delay, of course. But hey, it is what it is. I can still watch Raw. I'll still be able to watch the Wednesday night shows. Well, Thursday morning for me, but which is fine. SmackDown's going to be the one that I kind of miss out on for the most part anyway. I'm not saying every week, but 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to be able to watch SmackDown live anymore because it's just on at a terrible time for Australia. It really, really is. Saturday mornings is not the time you want to be sitting down watching wrestling. At least in my mind, it isn't. But regardless, it's a very exciting time to be a wrestling fan as we come into September 18th with NXT, and then October's really going to change some shit. It's going to be fun, nonetheless. Out of everything, this isn't a complaint. This is just, I'm just genuinely excited about everything. October's always a great time for WWE because the game comes out as well, and I'm excited to play WWE 2K20. Everyone knows that I'm very much into wrestling games. If you don't follow me on Twitch, subtle plug, go and follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/JoshRobertson00. I'm always playing some dumb wrestling game and stuff like that. And you're hearing this on Friday, this coming, a day, 3 p.m. Eastern time on the 24th of August this weekend is going to be the summer stream. We're going to have all different kinds of stuff from 3 until 11 Eastern time in the States. It starts at 4:30 in the morning on Sunday for me, and guess who's going to be up for that shit? Me. I'm going to be up. This little idiot's going to get up at 4:30 in the morning and be part of that show for every single minute that I can, because I'm very committed to the cause, because I'm that guy, and everyone knows that I'm that person. I'm very committed. So make sure you be like me, and you join for this stream, because it's going to be a lot of fun. We got all different queens. shout out to Queen, the Queen of NE on Twitter. Go and follow her if you're not living under a rock. Go follow Queen. She's kind of really been the one that's really set up all of the summer stream stuff. So we're gonna be raising some money. It's all on Brainbusta Radio or Brainbusta TV's Twitter handles. Go and check out that. But yeah, October's a cool month. It's a very exciting time to be wrestling. The only thing that I want to kind of end on before we wrap things up, the King of the Ring got underway this week on WWE programming. We're building up to the finals at Clash of Champions next month. I mean, who got through in the first round? We had Samoa Joe, Cedric Alexander, Elias, and Andrade. Sami Zayn's out, so my pick's gone, I guess. But hey, Sami's now with Shinsuke? I mean, that's a weird alliance. I mean, I'm down for it, but I didn't really expect that.
I'm down for it too, but I'd much rather see them wrestle each other some more.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, at the same time, Sami is a fantastic talker, so he could really... Maybe this could be a little propelling moment for both of them. Who knows? And hey, it's WWE. When someone's in an alliance, at some point, for the 90% of the time, they will break up. So therefore, we'll probably get matches out of them. So think of it that way. But, I mean, I'm down for that alliance. Anyway, back to King of the Ring. So, I guess next week we have Miz and Baron Corbin. We have Ricochet and Drew McIntyre. Ali and Buddy Murphy. And Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. So, I mean, the fact that we have that much... This tournament is full of wrestlers. Let's just be honest. It's got a lot of great wrestlers in it. You are still sticking to your pick of Baron Corbin?
Absolutely. The dude is tailor-made for King of the Ring.
He is. I tweeted that out this week. I'm like, he is tailor-made for the King of the Ring, because he is. I got so many people being like, well, fuck you. And I'm like, hell, fuck you too. I've been a little bit like that on Twitter lately. If you follow what I'm kind of here and there, what I'm posting on Twitter, I'm not afraid to be like, you know what? I'm not going to be Mr. Nice Guy all the time. If you're going to like poke at me, I'll come back at you. I'm not
oh, that's right.
I'm not going to be like an asshole and just like call you names. But like, if you're going to call me out on something that I'm doing, quote unquote, wrong, then I'm going to be coming right back at you and being like, hey, buddy, I'm not going to sit around and just like take your abuse. I'm not feeding trolls. I'm just, not being afraid. I'm not being afraid to state my opinion anymore. Good.
Josh took a DNA test. Turns out he's 100% that bitch.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm that bitch. I am that bitch. I don't give a fuck. Nah, I'm not an asshole. Everyone knows that. Well, at least on Twitter. Real life.
I haven't gotten to be an asshole on Twitter in quite some time. I kind of miss it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I wouldn't say it's underrated. It's very much on par rated. It can be fun. I mean, I understand, as much as I hate trolls, and I understand why I can understand in that mindset why you would do it, because like it's feeding your own ego, being like, oh, look at me, I'm a big shot, and at some point or another, we've all fed our own ego at some point in our lives, and it's great. But I mean, I'm not a troll on Twitter. Let's be. I'm a shit poster. I'm a bit of a shit poster on Twitter, but I ain't a troll. But yeah, anyway, Baron Corbin is very much very much tailor-made for King of the Ring. I could see King Corbin. I really could. I mean, something else does sound really nice, and that's King Buddy. Buddy Murphy. Can we just take a minute to talk about Buddy Murphy? He's had 2 stellar matches over the last couple of weeks with Roman Reigns and with Daniel Bryan, and beating Daniel Bryan. Well, I may add on SmackDown. I was literally jumping out of my chair like, holy shit. It was a damn good match for one. It seems like we've got something here with Buddy. I think.
He's too talented to leave him out of the mix. And he's a good character. He's a good worker. He fits really well with SmackDown, I think. Oh my god, he's going to be facing Ali this week. That is going to be just delicioso.
Yeah, just mio bente. That's just great. I mean, obviously I'm a Buddy supporter. I always have been. But, I mean, have you noticed that he's put on a little bit of size? I don't know if you've noticed that, but he actually said in an interview as well, you know, all the media row stuff coming up to SummerSlam, he actually said that he strategically didn't want to be on TV right away because he wanted to add some size to himself so he could kind of not go out and be like a big chunky. He used to be way bigger. He used to be like not in the shape he's in now. But he said he wanted to add a little bit of size, so he was like coming onto SmackDown and, you know, I guess fitting the mold, if you will, which is whatever. But
yeah, he's moving up from cruiserweight to heaveweight. It makes sense. He wants to put on a little bit of poundage.
Yeah, a little bit of the muscle mass, I guess you would say.
Yeah, a little bit of muscles marinara.
That groan I just made was kind of sexual. That was weird. Whatever. I mean, whatevs. But back to my reverb. Ooh, coming for your brand headlock talk.
Stealing one from the fine folks with headlock talk.
We coming for your brand. Yeah, but Buddy had a great showing in those last couple of weeks. I mean, if there's one thing I will say about it, his song, why they fucking changed it, I don't know, because it is actual trash now. It's that hot garbage that people talk about because his theme is so bad. Oh boy, like just go back to what he had before. It was fine. I don't know why they changed Elias's song too. It's weird now. It's like this weird country song, but okay. Regardless of them changing themes, the only other thing that I want to talk about apart from everything that we've talked about today with King of the Ring, good segue because the King got attacked by the Fiend, and it was glorious. It was mad fun. I just loved every minute of it. And
Jerry
was meant to have Sasha Banks on King's Court, and then Fiend was like, nah, fuck that. He was like, I'm gonna fucking give you the mandible claw instead. And then I guess Sasha had an interview anyway later, and Michael Cole was like, no one cares about your hair.
Yeah, which isn't necessarily true because that blue hair was the talk of the town,
wasn't it? Though it I don't understand why it signifies that she's evil, but whatever.
Neither do I. But that's part of what makes it interesting.
I guess so.
It was really nice. Change your complexion as a character.
It was very nice to see the boss return, if you understand what I mean by that, because the boss is back. It seems like this is the Sasha that I fell in love with in 2014 on NXT. She was my favorite worker out of everybody. Like, I'm talking like this. She was my girl. Like, I loved Sasha Banks. And now it seems like I wouldn't say that I I never not liked Sasha. I certainly went off and was like, let's call a spade here. She's not like the most amazing babyface. She was very stale as a babyface. She was just kind of
he wasn't
the girl.
Going anywhere.
She was just
you know?
She was just I hate saying this. She was a good hand. When they needed someone to be in a title program, she was the perfect one for it, but she never really won. Except, I mean, the tag titles were an exception, but that was different. Now that seems like the boss is back. Like, the legit boss to me is someone who doesn't give a shit. And she does not give a shit. She'll say whatever. She said whatever she wanted to Natty. She beat up Natty. She does not care. She is 100% that bitch.
Yes. Queen.
Yes, queen. Yes, queen with the KW. You know, like, she is. But she is. She's that boss. Huh. But it's fun to see Sasha in that realm again because that's where she shines.
You know she's having more fun with it than she has been having for the last 3 years.
Oh, you can tell this is where you can tell this is her element and she's gonna shine. I think I love the fact that her and Becky were kept separated this week because when they touch again, oh boy, that place is gonna go mental. I don't know where this is leading, whether Sasha gets the title. It'd be fun because I think it would be more fun to see Becky chasing than having. I just think Becky is definitely not like what she... Okay, it's probably arguable that she's maybe not as hot as she once was. However, she's still the man and she's still very much a very big part of the company and one of the top people, regardless of gender, in the company. But it's probably very easy as a babyface character to become stale when you're holding the championship for too long and you're just running through everyone. Banks is a perfect catalyst for Becky, and I think you could really have this as a very long feud. I think this could really stretch us out into the, latter half of 2019.
Yeah, and it's money. It's literally printing money. It's the two horsewomen that they could go. You haven't seen it too much. I mean, you saw it back at the stellar NXT match, but it hasn't been overexposed the way you could say Charlotte and Becky has been overexposed. Even though I wouldn't make that argument because I love
Me too.
Becky and Charlotte working together, but Sasha and Becky is something we haven't seen that much of, and we haven't seen it in a high stakes matter since their takeover match in 2015.
Yeah, and I mean that was a fantastic match. So, and the roles are the same now. Sasha is the heel, Becky is the face, and that's what works best, I think, for them two. And this is just a random thought, and whether people want to agree with me or not, I'm just throwing it out into the air. It might not resonate as much with you, Kev, as it will of some other people who like 2K20, but the fact that there is a showcase mode about those four ladies going into 2K20 at the end of October, and we have two very interesting feuds heading into September, October to the release of that game, with the four horsewomen feuding in two separate feuds. I mean, I don't know if that's coincidence or if that's just to plug the video game, but hey, I don't know. It just seems a little bit like, hey, let's plug the video games and have these four fight in two separate feuds.
It's crazy though. I honestly didn't even think about that until you just brought it up. It's because they're doing the pairings of horsewomen that we haven't really seen too much of.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a little bit of Charlotte and Bayley, but not to the extent of what we've seen with Charlotte and Sasha, and Becky and Charlotte, and Sasha and Bayley in NXT, and their run. But it is. Is this a way to plug the video game? Who knows? Maybe subconsciously.
Probably.
But I mean, the fact that Charlotte Flair is going to Clash of Champions in her hometown, going against Bayley, is going to be very interesting, because Bayley is not someone. While she gets cheered, Bayley does get booed in some places, and Charlotte Flair doesn't necessarily get cheered, but I mean, in Charlotte, North Carolina, it's probably a place that she will get cheered.
Yeah, probably, but that also means by the hometown rules, Charlotte will lose.
Yes, however, Charlotte is the heel, so it's different, isn't it? I don't know.
Charlotte will still lose.
Charlotte 10 reigns. I honestly think Charlotte's gonna. Isn't it, to me? Charlotte did say this on SmackDown, but I was kind of thinking about it the other day. The SmackDown Women's title is a little bit of an afterthought since Bayley won it.
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't think necessarily Bayley's raised the level of it. I don't think it's gone down since I don't know.
It is what it is. However,
I punt on that point.
Hey, no matter what, Charlotte, you can never, ever, 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 ever count Charlotte Flair out of winning a title. Ever.
That's true. I just don't see it. I also think that Sasha wins the Raw title and we get Sasha Bayley at Survivor Series.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. As a lot of people would not be opposed to that at all. Sasha and Bayley is my favorite match ever. I don't think they'll ever top that.
If you're opposed to that, you have a big old dump in your pants.
Yeah, those people that are opposed to that are just complaining for the fact of complaining. That's all they're doing. They're just complaining to complain. But as we wrap things up this week, I love episodes where we really haven't had too much of not a chance. We just haven't really. Now that NXT's officially moving, I mean, it's very much easier to talk about all of that kind of stuff, but we hadn't really had the opportunity or the time or the right facts to go, hey, let's break this down, because we haven't done it. We're not really too much of that kind of podcast anyway, I would say, but I like doing stuff like this, expanding our horizons. As we head into October, we're very excited for all of that. We're very excited for NXT to go live. I think that's the vibe that we're kind of giving out on this one. But the Wednesday Night Wars, whatever you want to call them, are in fact real, just in the terms of that they're airing at the same time. So in that sense, they are real. Whether you want to say there's a war or not, there is, in the sense of 8 till 10, prime time, it's happening. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is us signing off for the week. Make sure to rate this podcast 5 stars on iTunes. Make sure to follow Brainbusta Radio on Twitter at Brainbusta Radio. Follow me on Twitter at JoshRobinson00. Kevin, where can we find you on Twitter?
At Kevin C. Wrestling.
Make sure to follow Kev. Follow my Instagram, Josh Robinson Host. That's where you'll find all the stuff you need to find out about all the stuff that I've got going on. All the links you'll need will be on my profile and everything like that. So just make sure to follow all of us lovely people from Brainbusta Radio and me and Kev. And until next Friday, we will see you guys next time. Peace out.